Okay, so we have about 5,000 miles on the oil on this engine since I did the last oil change. Remember, we have new cylinders on this engine. The engine has about 8,000 miles so far, more or less. Since we did this, what was it, like 8 months ago? We replaced the cylinders. Okay, so we already have like 8,000 miles on the engine. Okay, so I got 5,000 miles on the last oil change. I have not checked my oil, and let's find out if it's low or what the hell. I don't think I'm burning oil because I haven't had the check engine light or the oil light come on. It usually comes on when I get on the freeway really hard, you know, on the gas. And with the old cylinders, and usually when it came on, I was exactly 1 quart low. So I expected not. Let's see what it is. Okay. It's to the second line. Let's see if I can do this real quick. It's right there. Okay. So that right there to there is half a quart. And it's slightly above, I'm going to say. So it probably burnt like a third of a quart. So it didn't burn enough oil. I mean, I could probably still go 8,000 miles and it'll be fine. Anyways, the reason I'm talking about this is because a lot of guys, you know, they claim that AA piston rings actually fail, and these are AA pistons, piston rings, and they burn a lot of oil. But I'm thinking it's operator error because they're not breaking in the engine correctly. You know, you see the power block and they do the 20-minute break in, and then they change the oil, and then they beat the living crap out of it. Well, if you do that, the quality, like the piston rings like AA Performance, they don't have that rigidity. And I'm thinking that you get a hot spot on those rings and this happens. Okay, you no longer have that outward pushing against the cylinder, and you will burn a lot of oil. However, if you treat those piston rings really, really nicely and let them blend in, they should be able to handle they should be able to seal pretty good. Okay. I think it's operator error on their part. These are not really super hard metals, okay? So, and that's probably why we can get them for really cheap at AA Performance. But I'm pretty sure that they're overheating them and they're just collapsing and they're burning a lot of oil because the mechanic, okay, there's a mechanic that told me you need to take it easy the first 400 miles. Okay, this is when I was like 12 years old. I was helping the mechanic a lot. So he would teach me a lot of this stuff. And he said, the reason you do that is because you get a hot spot and then the ring collapses and then you burn a lot of oil and you get lower compression. But if you wait till 400 miles, drive it really slow, accelerate really slow, no jackrabbit starts for 400 miles, you should be fine. You change your oil at 400 miles, and he said you can do whatever you want after that. You should be able to beat on it, and you will never lose your outward pressure on the rings, and you're fine. Okay, but you need to let them break in 400 miles. Okay, that's the whole thing. Okay. Anyways, so I just wanted to make sure that this thing was actually seated pretty good. I didn't want to check the oil either. I was like, I'm not going to check it until, I get at least 5,000 miles in it, because that way, that'll tell me the health of those rings. And that health is 100%. I give it thumbs up. AA Performance. Anyways, we're going to be working on the door panels on my GTI. Just a couple of short clips, and then we're going to go into the IDF carburetors. There's those drillies that I did on those carburetors, you really want to know this. You really want to know this. It's going to be optional. I don't recommend it, but if you're having a lot of trouble with it, this might actually help you. Okay? Okie doke. Welcome back, YouTubians. This is your host, Sera. We're going to work on our door panels. Not bug ones, the GTI. This is because the door panels are just crap. They're not sitting right like these. Somebody didn't put the vapor barriers on these things, so it's all effed up. That is door panels made out of wood, so I don't know what I'm going to find. Probably a lot of damage, so damn it. But first, we eat another donut. Yeah. Wife is here. My daughter driving.
And here we are. As you can tell, I mean, look at, I try to, push it into the little clipper doodle right here, because it clips onto there. It does not. It looks like it's this right here, this edge to the door. It's like far away from the door. I don't know what the hell's going on there. That doesn't seem right. And the bottom should be clipped on into some plastic things. They're not clipped on. This just, somebody did some removed the panels for some reason, and they did a horrible job putting it back together. I don't know what I'm going to find. Hopefully the vapor barrier is still there. That way I know that the wood, because this is made out of wood, should be fine. But let's see what happens. I know that door doesn't have a vapor barrier, so we're going to put one on. And we're going to start with that door because it's bothering me that the little thingy falls off. This guy just falls off. So we're going to go ahead and take it apart and see what's going on. So I found the reason why this little knob kept popping off, which is over here. I have it over here. It was there, kept popping off. Turns out the nut that goes here is missing, so they jerry-rigged. Zippy time moment. And a clip for the, I think these are like for the brakes. You know, those brake lines. So now I know where that would go. Probably from the rear. But I was in here cleaning, and I found this. Happens to be exactly what goes there. So, easy fix. I'm gonna just take that zippy tie moment off. We're gonna re-put the vapor barrier back on because this one doesn't have it. And what happens, guys, if you have if your door panels are made out of wood material, that one is, they will tend to warp and bend, in funky ways. Kind of like a vinyl record when you put it out in the sun. Yeah, vinyl records do that if you put them out in the sun. In case you didn't know that. I'm gonna put that on, and this thing should go back on nice and sweet. Notice that all the clipper doodles right here, all of them, we're not grabbing the bottom of the door panel. So this thing was just flopping here. Just flopping. It just didn't seem right. And also the holes, they looks like when they put the panel back on, they drilled a new hole higher on this clipper doodle and this one. And that one also, I can see it. There's two holes. So they're not like grabbing the panel close to the door. So they're kind of up higher. So that explains a lot of problems on this thing. So I'm gonna remove all this plastic and then go get some garbage bag or something, put a vapor barrier. So it turns out that I actually need to look at this because I just want to make sure that that little clip that was on there was not actually go there. You know what I'm saying? And it looks like it doesn't. It's just the nut and the receiver for the little swiveling doodad that receives the nut, and that's it. So I'm gonna go ahead and go back. So it looks like this. Okay, this doesn't go here. I'm just trying to make sure that I wasn't gonna screw up. Oh, that's gonna be fun. Getting it out. Kind of looks like it goes there though. Oh no, never mind. It's been machined. I see the grinding and stuff they did to this. Okay, so it doesn't go there. So I'm gonna put the nut on here. I'm gonna need both hands for that. So the idea goes like that. Okay. Fully functional now. It used to be all sloppy in here, So perfect. All right. She moves over there. See? Okay, whatever. Okay, we're good. Okay, now we go with the seal or the plastic barrier. I couldn't find transparent one, so I'm just using a hefty bag. Yeah, hefty. Wimpy. Yeah, this is hefty, so that's what I'm gonna be using. All right, so it's not that easy doing it by one person. I'll tell you that much. Let's see if I can get this a little bit better. There we go. There we go. As long as it seals, everything's sealed all the way around. So I'm just gonna trim it and put it all back together. Okay, so I got all the hardware back on down there. Yeah, those clipper duals. Everything's on. All right, so got the hole for the thing, crank, a swivel mirror thingy. Everything looks nice and sealed. Let's go fix our panel because our panel is not in good condition. We're probably gonna have to reinforce it. Probably gonna put washers here, here, just to reinforce all of this stuff. And this just doesn't look right. See, you can tell all the pee, all that pee. Look at this fungus right here. Okay. Yeah, that is because somebody let this panel get wet because they took off the vapor barrier. Big mistake. All right, I'm gonna probably pour some chlorine on that just to kill all the fungus. Because the car, I noticed that the car, if you close it for a while, it smells funky. And I think it's the fungus, so. Too bad I don't have any cash. I'll be hitting that vendor right now. I'm like, it's hot. The sun is just burning me. Okay, so we got the whole panel in. This whole thing actually functions now. It doesn't go boop, it doesn't pop out because everything got pushed in further. As you can see, it's perfect. Even here, this is all ugly and stuff. I need a little plastic doodad that goes right here so it doesn't look that ugly. But there you go. There we go. That's better. Looks a lot better. It's all inside the track. It doesn't come out. Everything's good and tight. I couldn't fix this because the wood is actually like bubbled, so I have like a nasty gap right there. It's not that strong anymore. Okay. We have problems, especially down here. So anyways, so this right here, this area is too soft, too soft. It will not clip onto there and hold it. See? And there. These do. The other one in the front also, it's catching. But there you go. Ándale pues. Y si van a comprar algo de tomar, me incluyen. Okay, doesn't nada, todo estoy bien. She looks beautiful now. Yeah, like I said, this does bother me though. I mean, look at that nasty gap. It does bother me. I'm gonna try to get new panels. If I go to junkyard, maybe I'll get lucky. Maybe they'll still have the vapor barrier and that panel will be in primo state. But this is kind of soft on the bottom because of the water. And it bubbled up. It's not exactly the way it came from factory. All right, she's finished. So now we're just gonna talk about IDFs. IDFs, you need to know this. The little can of worms, you know, drilling that little hole on that IDF. You wanna know what happened. It's really interesting. So it's gonna be a mix of the GTI and the IDF experiment. You really wanna know this. Okay, I've got the carburetor out. I already removed the plug. This is the plug there. Yeah. You need to see the other videos on how I created that plug. Okay, so remember we drilled that hole right there? Just that one. Okay, this one is 100 or 1 millimeter. This is 90, 0.90. And this one right there, let me open the throttle so you can see it. That bottom one is 90 also. So what I did is actually, I went ahead and drilled it right here. But that caused the effect of just this one. Okay, I didn't drill the other ones. Just this one, I opened it up to 1 millimeter. Okay, it was 90. Anyway, that caused me from running my both of these idles 52s on my 2-liter engine. I had to run them down to 50. And that actually got me, like I said, a wider range of being in Stoich on the RPM range. That's weird. Okay, I wasn't expecting that. But the effect it had with the 52s is basically I went from
running in Stoich, which is 14 on the AFR, it dropped down 1 whole point, down to 13 or 1280, between 1280 and 13 on the AFR. So I was running slightly rich, okay? Not much. It's still, you know, I would consider it still, you know, passable, 13. But 13 is what you want, wide open throttle. And I was running 13 at freeway speeds. So that was bad. So yeah, 50s, and that actually corrected that mistake there. Well, that's not a mistake. It actually was a blessing. Okay, it's a blessing. Let's call it a blessing. Yeah, it made my, you know, RPM range more stoichable. Stoichable. Okay, whatever. Okay, so moving on to what I'm talking about when you're calibrating your fuel bowls. I actually did this experiment. Like, I needed to know the amount of fuel inside the bowl, because nobody seems to know, because nobody's done this, I guess. But basically, your fuel needs to be right here. Right there, like just barely above that little window, okay? If you're where that dot is, where I accidentally hit that dot right there, you're too high. That is way too much fuel. You're gonna run really rich throughout the whole RPM range. If you're up here, even worse. Okay, you should not be below the window. You should not be down here. This is when you do the test in your bench. Okay, when you do the test in the bench, and when you do the test in the bench, make sure that this guy is not on the bench. So you have to do it like this, with the top on, and you fill it up with fuel. Okay, jerry rig something. I'm sure you guys can figure that out, and that will get you the proper amount of fuel. Okay, if you don't have the right amount of fuel in here, you say, uh-oh, it doesn't have the amount of fuel, then adjust this. Okay, here's the thing. You see that tang, right? That tang should be barely touching that ball bearing, and this area right here, there should be 14 millimeters from the paper and the very bottom of that float. Okay, that's the Weber way. Look at what I got over here. Passenger, I got 14 exactly, and I got that amount of fuel, that line. Perfect. On this one, I had to go to 15 on this guy to get that amount of fuel. Okay, so they will not calibrate correctly. You have to visually test these, or do your own testing until you get the proper amount of fuel. And this is where you adjust that guy. Okay, now to remove your stumbles, basically is this guy right here, 2 turns out counterclockwise, and the other stumble will always be here on this guy that goes right there. Okay, this guy, yeah, that guy. Okay, so basically you take a drill. This hasn't been F with yet because this carburetor's, I didn't use it that much. It's got a little dirt right there, but I didn't use it that much. I only used it maybe like a month or less. Anyways, what you do is you press that in right there, that little key. So just one like this. Okay, that's probably too much. Too much. Yep, I locked it. So now if you do that, if you lock it, just go through the other side with a smaller drill and just push down. That's the fun part. But this should be no more than a millimeter push down. Okay, less than a millimeter. I'm running on my car, I think I'm running 90.90 distance. When I say that, I mean when I do this, I get a 90 right there, and this thing is barely sticking out. This thing is barely sticking out. It's barely sticking out like that much. Okay, yeah. Okay, that's how I measure that, by doing this. And then I get 90 here. Okay, minimum, I'm going to say 75.75. Maximum, 90. Don't go beyond 1 millimeter. That's it for that. And that should take care of all your stumbles. You should get fuel immediately out of here. As soon as you barely start cracking your throttle, you shouldn't have any hesitations anymore. So, okay. The other thing about the valve, this valve, I actually did use Loctite on the other. Let me use this. There we go. I just need it a little bit to be able to pull it out. So what I did is I just poured some Loctite into that thing. Let me remove this thing. There we go. Sorry, I had to remove that little springy thing. Get it out of the way. So basically, this little ball, I filled it up with the Loctite. What I used the drill, tiny little drill. This guy. Push the ball bearing down. Then I filled it up with Loctite. Then I let the ball come back up. Then I flipped it over after I kind of cleaned it so it wouldn't have, you know, Loctite all over the place. Cleaned it, flipped it over, and I just used this like that. You know, right there it's not pressing on the ball. So I let it sit for a couple of hours and then grabbed it. And sure enough, this thing was like solid. This one's not Loctited yet. Okay. That actually stabilized that guy, the amount of fuel in here. It doesn't change anymore. Okay. It's actually solid. Now, is that going to wear the tip? This rubbery thing? I don't know. I got plenty of these in case, you know, it does wear out and starts to fail, flooding my carburetors. I don't think that would happen though. I really don't. This thing is just not heavy enough to really damage this, you know, the weight of it going up and down and the bumps and stuff like that. I don't think it'll do anything. So that's what I did to this, and that got me better results with the fuel levels, not changing. Another thing, this guy, you see how it's sideways? Let me do this real quick with the hand. Okay, so I'm gonna make the valve really big. So, like this. I'll make it kind of big, just so you get where I'm going with this. The ball's right here. And then there's a spring in here that pushes it up. Okay, this is the ball. So I pushed it down, and now it's Loctited. It will not move down anymore. Okay, it's solid. The problem that I still see is this tang being at that angle when it's at 14. Okay, when it's at 14, this tang should be level like that. Okay, and then it does this, and then it does this. It goes over here, and then this thing goes on like that, and it, you know. You know, does kind of something like that. Okay, that's a. It kind of looks like that if you look at it like, yeah, it kind of looks like that, whatever. Anyways, this tang has to be perfectly level, not sideways, not like this or like that when it's at 14. Right here to the paper. This is the paper, this is 14 millimeters to that edge. Okay? Okay, so I went ahead and bent this area right here until I got it nice and flat at 14. Well, one is 14, one is the other 15. But that's what I did, and that got me a very, very stable fuel level. Okay, like I said, I am running them at 2.5 pounds. I think they can handle like 6 pounds once you put Loctite here. But if you don't put Loctite here and you're running 4 pounds, this is going to get depressed, and you're going to be running up here in fuel level. Up there, okay? Not there. You're going to be running up there in fuel level. You're going to be running rich. All right. That is pretty much with this. I'm going to put my shit away now. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed this blog. It's more of a blog, really. And just kind of like an update kind of thing. If you saw it, you saw it. If you didn't, you're shit out of luck. This is actually very helpful because it teaches you how to manipulate this stuff, okay? Now, if you have your things too big right here, I noticed, I'm going to tell you this tip. These China ones, they come with 60s. These squirters. Okay, when you go wide open throttle, you go poof, like open up like that. You will get too much fuel into your engine. Okay, you should not have more than 55s. If these are 60s, you're in trouble. Okay, you're going to be flooding your engine every time you go wide open throttle, and you're going to notice it on your wideband. It's just going to wow. Not only that, you probably hear it in your exhaust going. Okay, that's too much fuel. So what I did, I just took them off, and then I found like something really hard, like this kind of steel, and I just went whack, because mine were 65s, I think. I just whack, and then I looked at them, and then I grabbed the gauge, or a 50. I have a 50 drill. That's a 50, and then measured them, and then until I got 50, that's when I stopped whacking them, and then I just put it all back together, and guess what? I got perfect. When I go wide open throttle, it just barely goes a little on the rich side, but not too much rich. It goes down to like 11, and then it comes right back. Instead of going all the way to I think it was going down all the way down to 8 on the AFR, which is super duper flooded rich. Tech tip right there. Okay, so this one I have to press it back down to fix it because it no longer goes. All right, because I pushed it too far in. The little ball bearing in there is basically seized. No big deal. I'll fix it. You don't need to see that. You can figure this out. Okay, so we're doing 75. This is the wideband. Right on the edge of 14. Yeah, 74, 75, somewhere in there. It's not bad actually. The drilling that hole, just holy shit, it changed everything. Even my air jets, I had to drop them down from like 215 down to 180s. Wait, what? 180? What? Wait, what? Yeah, I think it's because I had to drop my idles from 52s to 50s. That thinned out the fuel delivery at a lower RPM or something. But I had to have my mains hit a little earlier to fill in the gap. But it drives okay. I seem to have a wider band of drivability at higher speeds than before. So I'm hoping that translates into better fuel mileage. We'll see what happens. I'm still doing that right now. Fuel mileage. And with that, we're just going to call it the end to this video. Hope you like the GTI and IDF combination there. Whatever. Anyways, we're still waiting on this, but I told my son to just cancel it because it hasn't gotten here. So we're just going to cancel it, and he said he's going to stop by the muffler shop so we can actually build the intake manifold for blue so we can run the 39 millimeter stock carburetor, which should, in theory, make about 140 horses. It should be more fun to drive blue. So till we get that pipe, I can't build anything, I just can't. And basically, that's pretty much it for the video. So, thank you for watching. Adios muchachas, adios muchachos. Later, dudes.